sounds so alive, and you can create great art in here, but it's all underpinned by this real bedrock of hard maths.
So do you think that means people enjoy, as a mathematician, you go, well, of course, I enjoy Beethoven a lot more because I understand it mathematically, whereas those people who can't do the sums will never enjoy this.
You get musical snobbery, though, don't you? You get jazz, and jazz is even harder, like harmonically and mathematically, to unpick than X Factor, for example. I think musical snobs would argue that they understand it more, therefore enjoy it more. The same way that people might like fine wine as opposed to Vimto.
I mean, Tom, we're going to come back, actually, to the mathematical underpinnings of music. So we're talking about sound in this room, and I suppose to a physicist, sound is very simple to define. It's just a pressure wave going through air. But is there more to it, or is that it? Would that be? How would you define sound?
I think there are two definitions, really. You can either define it in a physical way, which is just pressure variation. It doesn't need to be air, it can be any medium at all. Or you can define it as sound is something that we hear. And that goes to the essential question, if a tree falls in the forest for no one there to
That's philosophy,
hear it.
banned. We don't do philosophy.
No. It's a new definition. If a tree falls in the forest, no one there to hear it, then according to the physical definition, yeah, there's a sound, because you still get pressure variations. But in terms of the sort of psychological definition, then no, there wouldn't be a sound because there's no one there to hear it.
So it's got to have a receiver to validate the definition.
But the interesting thing is when you have sounds which aren't actually in the physical world, but you hear them. And one example of that is, I don't know if anybody here has tinnitus, where you have sort of ringing in your ear if you listen to, lots of people are nodding out there. I get it a bit. If you've listened to a lot of loud music in your life, you can often damage the ear a little bit, and that can create these sort of phantom sounds. And there's no sort of physical pressure variations going on, but people still say they hear a sound.
I mean, I do find it very weird when you say the thing about when a tree falls. The sound does occur. Just because we didn't experience doesn't, to me, that there aren't two separate arguments. But I was talking to you beforehand, come on here, where when I'm on a plane at high altitudes, I seem to be able to hear music very specifically, as if it's actually in my ears. And this may well be a cry for help. And I wonder if there is something which is changing my perceptions. It's not with my ears popping or anything like that. I can actually be sitting there with no headphones in or anything like that, and I can hear very clear music, and it's kind of not just ideas that I'm picking out from the air around me. It's specific songs. Now, is there a way that a brain changes the way it perceives sound, or the way that it can itself create the imagination of sounds?
Yeah, I mean, the brain is always trying to form order out of disorder. So if you give it, when you're in a plane, there's a lot of noise when you think about it. I don't know what the sound level in a plane is. Trevor probably knows. So 80 dB, 90 dB maybe. So it's pretty high sound level, but it's basically just noise. It's just a formless kind of sound. And because your brain's always trying to impose, just like looking at clouds, you see sort of faces in clouds and animals and things like that. So perhaps your brain is doing a sort of good job of trying to extract some meaning from this sort of meaningless noise.
I mean, to me, that's an interesting thing. When we are listening to music, when we listen to noises, how much do we, as human beings, still place our own personality, our own perception? Maybe Trevor, but how much, in terms of our own perception, changes what we might be hearing compared to what other people are hearing?
Well, there's the things which are culturally learnt, such the scales. We can learn what we want to listen to. So you can decide to associate anything you like. So we tend to associate minor scales, minor keys with sadness, but you could associate it with nice jolly things if you wanted.
A sad song in a minor scale or a minor key, is that learned? Have we learned that progression, that harmonic progression, is sad? Or is there something inherently sad about it?
Lots of scientists have looked at this, but the present sort of kind of understanding is it's a learnt response. You might be hearing to these sounds, even from in the womb you can hear some music going on, and you start to associate these sounds with different events, and people will learn that means sad.